We ready?
I think so. Got my DP. Man, I don't even know what week it is. You know, March is almost over. Can you believe that? Like 2 weeks.
Right.
Broke the halfway point.
2 weeks. March is done. Yeah, March Madness coming soon.
March Madness, yeah, man. A lot of playoff games going on this week and next week, and
yeah,
I can't even keep up. I don't even know what's going on. I love living in this SEC town, man. Like every week, I see another bus from another school. It has nothing to do with basketball, you know, but
right.
Big old Florida Gator bus was rolling through town yesterday.
Yeah.
It should have been like whenever the Kings of the Wild, man, whenever they were touring through town and they were like throwing money out. It should have been how the Florida Gators are. It should have been throwing Gatorade, like orange, you know, blue.
Right.
I'd have took one.
You get refreshments. You get rehydrated. Yeah.
I'm a Hog fan, you know, always will be, even though they lie to me every year, but they didn't lie this year. So far, we're winning, man. We're in that top 25 list on a lot of things.
Number 8 before last night. I mean, I don't know how that loss is going to affect us.
I'm always an SEC fan.
SEC, yeah. Just
I don't care what team it is. I'm cheering SEC.
Yeah.
Man, daylight savings time happened today. I went to bed a little later than normal. I woke up and thought I had slept way late, man. I'm so glad my wife rolled over and said, time change. Like, oh, thank God. I thought I'd slept till 10 o'clock. I mean, sleeping at 9 o'clock is bad enough, but I didn't go to bed till about 2.
Well, that'll do it.
And there's a lot of interest right now in the United States about ending daylight savings time. This could possibly be the last time changes in the United States.
What is the benefit?
Well, I think there were a lot of benefits in the past, and maybe there's benefits now. I think I just like to complain about it. I don't really think it's not that big of an inconvenience for me. But I did read a good point about it, about daylight savings time. I think it should stay where it is after the change. I think what it is on right now is where it should stay.
Okay.
But the biggest pro I could find, and I should have put this at the end, the biggest pro of it is you get an extra hour of daylight in the summer in the evening. So you can stay at the lake longer, or you can stay outside longer, or whatever you want to do, garden, or whatever you want to do. You know, you got like an extra hour of that because the days are longer, and so the sun comes up reasonably, you know, close to the times you might be going to work, and kids are waiting on bus stops and stuff. And I read that a lot of people are for it that way. The kids don't have to sit in the dark because of school buses. And I know only 8 people watch our videos, but hopefully one of them is like a really powerful congressperson, because if children are having to wait outside, or if they have to get up and be outside 2 hours before school starts, so they're out there like at 5:55 in the morning, you need to work on the bus routes. It's not the time that needs to change. The schools need to, or whoever works their bus routes, they need to change. Kids should not be outside 2 hours before school starts worrying about, you know, what's in the dark.
It's funny you said that. I've always been curious. So I did not eat breakfast at school. That was never on my purview. I don't eat breakfast now. So how long do the buses, before school starts, if the bell rings at 8 o'clock, which it doesn't, I'm sure it's 8:50 or 8:30. One of you guys has kids out there. How early must the bus be there? What is the latest they can be prior to school starting? Because, you know, you always knew when you went to school, like you always knew like the kids who didn't have to ride the bus because they showed up with 5 minutes before the school started and they looked like they'd been up for 30, 45 minutes. Like they still look happy and fresh. Not like half the day was over before you even started school.
Mm-hmm.
You made a good point. If you're waiting on the bus at 5:50, that means you woke up at 5 a.m.
Right.
And school doesn't start until 9 o'clock in the stinking morning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. The time change isn't the problem. The freaking schools need to figure their routes out. The problem.
That if you didn't start your job until 9 a.m., when would you wake up?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah.
7
hour and a half, maybe.
Maybe.
And then you're just like, you know, getting up and like walking to your car, you're walking to the bus stop, whatever your routine is to get to work. You're not sitting outside waiting for something to arrive that you're scared to miss, because if you miss it, you've missed it. You know, it messes up mom and dad's life and they're mad.
Right. If they're not already at work to start with.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah.
But daylight savings time, man, it started in 1908 in Canada, of all places. Not going to hold it against the Canadians. I know we love our northern friends. It's currently used in 40 countries around the world. I'm sure it's because the time changed in the United States, so they probably changed too. But maybe not. I could be wrong. You know, I don't live in a town or another country that time changes.
I think it's interesting. I don't know how many countries do not use a 24-hour clock, but the only country I've ever been to that did not was the United States. So also,
I don't know how I feel about that.
When I got here and I said, hey, what time zone are we in? They said, we are Zulu -1. And I said, wait, what?
I'd say you could ask that to 10 people in my town, and probably only one of them would even know what that meant.
And it's so crazy how different time is looked at across the world.
Yeah.
So interesting.
I didn't even know that. That gives me a whole other thing to think about now. I didn't even know that.
So Portugal, the main body of Portugal, not the Azores, is Zulu -2. And so it is very interesting that we are the only members of the Portugal community that is not on the same clock, which is another reason that Azorians feel like that they are different than Portuguese, because they aren't willing to share the same time with them.
We have a different time. So on the wall, does it say, does the clock just have 24 hours? It had 24-hour marks on it, or is it still 12?
That's 12.
Okay.
But they count at 13, 14, 1500. Yeah. Not military time, regular Zulu standard time. So have you always talk about the real life Iron Man. We introduced Alexi to Iron Man and Iron Man 2 today. We are in this restricted movement right now. We're waiting on Paige's second COVID test. So we have been having all the family time you could ever dream of, or want, probably more than that, because you're kind of just locked in a confined area. But we've been watching Iron Man, and I don't know what you, but like, it's such a timeless movie. And the idea that like they made this, it was 2008, so it's been 13 years ago. Wow. And it was just as good as it was. Yeah, day one, just crazy good. So I can't wait for to watch the rest of them. Like, we're gonna get there one at a time. Thor's next, in case you've been under a rock for the last 30 years. Thor is after Iron Man 2. But I can't wait for to enjoy these things.
I watched them all pretty recently. I mean, I guess about a year ago, I started the first one. I watched all the Iron Man, but I didn't know that I didn't watch them like order of production. I just picked a group. I just watched all the Iron Man, all the Thors, and then the Doctor Stranges, Okay. Man, the Doctor Strange movies are fantastic. I'm not a comic guy. I have no preconceived notions about how they should do anything. I know nothing about the prior story. I don't know anything about it, but man, they're just fantastic. The visuals, they've been making the superhero movies for a few years. They kind of got it figured out. They got the effects down, They didn't do as good a job on like Ant-Man, those effects were a little, quite as good. But yeah, man, I like effects, so that's what
this is the reason I can't wait for Mortal Kombat, man, is because they've got this figured out. It's going to be rocking. We finally have the technology to make this worth watching.
Yeah, I hope they got the money I hope they invested the money in it, man. That's going to be great. Man, did you see, we screwed up, man, because the other day we were making a video and I said, I hope they don't remake the Lord of the Rings forever. Well, I read that there's I don't remember who, I don't think it's Hulu. I think it's Netflix. Somebody though, they've got the rights to make like a TV miniseries kind of thing. Man, they've already invested. I gotta get closest. They've already invested $1 billion with a B, $1 billion.
And that's a capital B, in case you guys.
Capital B. Like, this is serious. They broke it out how they're going to release them, and so they've got they've started their outline. They know how they want to release them, so they've got the production management. They got all this pre-production stuff going on, like working out screenplays and release points, endpoints to show. And they've got these people, this group of people, they're focused on, I don't think they started like videoing it yet. They've not started shooting, but $1 billion. I couldn't believe it.
The question I have is, how many additional female characters are in this movie that were not in the book, B, not in the first set, because the love interest in the movies is not in the book.
Hopefully they don't stray too far from the script, but
there's a billion reasons why they will.
I didn't read the book. I know you said before that y'all read it a lot. Maybe I did. I just don't remember it. But so when I watch the movies, that's my take on Lord of the Rings, whatever the movies were.
So just so you know, the ultimate fight scene is not in the book, not in the movies.
What fight scene?
So when the movies end, there's still a book left. They have to go back to the Shire, and that's where the evil wizard has like made his last stand.
Okay.
And they have to defeat the wizard to like win the Shire or whatnot. Like everybody acts like it's over, but the White Wizard, whatever his name was, he's never been defeated. And so yeah, it was kind of funny that all of us were like, it's not over.
I wonder why, because there was such a success. I wonder why they didn't think about that and make that while everybody was still the same age that they were.
I don't know.
It's too late now, obviously.
Too late now. Yeah.
Maybe they're going to fix that with this series. Maybe they're not going to end it just throwing the ring into the volcano.
Right. But yeah, so I heard something the other day. I'm about to segue right into your modern Iron Man. But I was reading where Elon Musk has a school. If you get hired by Elon, you have to go to his school before your first day on the job. He has taken his kids out of public/private, let's say modern school, and he has put them through his school like 2 or 3 times. And when he was asked about this, he said, besides learning how to read and doing math and knowing basic geography, what is the point of school? The point of school is to know yourself and know how to be successful in society. And he said, my kids are Elon Musk's kids. That will be who they are the rest of their lives. It doesn't matter what they do or don't do. They're going to be stuck with that term. And what they're going to do is take over my legacy. So it's my job to prepare them for that.
And I thought owning it, man. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm just annoyed how we do school, man. We keep sending kids back for years, and they teach them just a little bit about history, and then the next year they teach them the same thing with just a little bit more at it. That's ridiculous, man. I mean, no wonder kids are bored, because they feel like the entire class that they've already learned this, because they have already learned this. We just have all these filler classes, and I don't understand it. I don't like it. That's why we lose in education, I think, around the world, because A, we don't challenge our kids, and B, we patronize to them. C, we got too many people in there making up stuff to teach that is ridiculous.
So for our big 8, when you sent your children to school, or when you went to school, whichever one or both apply to you, looking back as an adult, did you get out of school what you feel like you should have? And I think that's something that we should hold, maybe not teachers, because their job is to just teach the material they're given or the subject matters that they're given. But the people who write this, who decide what we teach our children, they should be held accountable. And I don't know the right way to go about that. But when we pay as taxpayers, the amount of money we pay, which is absurd. I saw a stat the other day that we spend more money on education than like the next 5 or 6 countries combined. And yet we lose in education. That's because the American people, are getting what they have designed for our children to get. Let's not minimize this. Our teachers are extremely intelligent, and they're extremely well educated, and they produce the product that they are designed to teach. The problem is that product is not the correct product. To me, when I look at it, I do not want people who graduate from high school to need to have 8 to 12 more years of education to be a viable product in this world. When you graduate from high school, you should have the skills needed to produce a life for yourself and your family, or the family you soon will have. And that is not what we are providing people today. I mean, I'm not trying to run for office, guys. I'm just saying.
I mean, I really think that it should be, yes. I think that I really hate it because we have a Department of Education in Washington, D.C. is very powerless because it's up to the states to just decide how they want to teach. But yes, I think that there should be a real top-down look at how education, what the goals are. Just start with the goals. You know, just like the what do we expect the end person, the end user? What do they expect them to? Does the last year of high school really need to be college prep? Absolutely not. Like, we're requiring people to go to school. Why shouldn't it? I mean, and most people aren't going to have college needed jobs. Most employers need to stop trying to require college needed, because you don't need college for a lot of jobs.
No.
But it shows a dedication. Maybe you've learned a little bit about the field or something. But man, tech schools, man, that's where it's at. Go learn how to do something. Go learn a trade. Go learn, I don't know what. It doesn't have to be welding. I know everybody likes to tout welding because it's a big paying job, but man, we got to have plumbers. We got to have electricians. We got to have road builders. And have people working banks, There's just so many jobs, and we don't prepare. I don't feel like we prepare in high school for jobs.
You just said something really key. When I was in high school, there were these different places in Arkansas that were like Hot Springs had one, math and science or something.
Mm-hmm.
Those were great. I'm not saying they were not. They are. And keep doing what you do. But each major school, you're talking about 4A, 5A schools, they should offer certifications in what you just said. And I get it, man. Fayetteville High School should not have all of those certifications, but they should have one. Maybe Bentonville has another one. Maybe Fort Smith has a different one. And if you're a child who knocks out your certification your freshman and sophomore year and you want another one, we should bus you or send you to another one of the major schools to knock out a different one. Or maybe there should be a general contracting class that when you finish 4 years of this and you have to do X number of hours with a general contractor and you have to take finance classes and insert the stuff, man. I don't know what the stuff is, but that's why we have a Department of Education to figure this stuff out. So when you walk out of high school, you don't say, oh man, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. You've prepared yourself for 4 years.
Yeah.
Start there.
Another thing ridiculous is about ninth grade. All my kids took a half semester class. It was like a half deal. All of them took note taking.
Note taking?
You gotta be able to take notes, man. You gotta like had a note taking class. They took a note taking.
Okay.
We go to college. You get signed up for college. You know what the very first thing they want them to take when they get to college? Note taking. Because they don't take notes the way high school take notes.
I've never even heard of this class.
You have to pay. You literally have to pay again to take another. Because I mean, you got to do it because you're going to be behind the curve. I mean, you got to do it because there's saying, look, if you don't take notes this way, because a lot of classes, especially now because of online, you have to know the format to submit stuff in.
Sure.
You have to take notes in the class. You have to submit your notes and stuff. A lot of classes do. So if you don't, you're going to fail because you don't know how to do it. You've never learned. So the colleges here, they want their notes different than high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to pay another, what's the cost of a class? $1,200. I got to pay $1,200 to learn something that I should have learned in high school. And high school taught a freaking note-taking class. Why didn't I learn the same format in high school as I'm using college?
Especially when you're talking about like our University of Arkansas at Fayetteville should teach at Fayetteville High School how they expect their students to take notes.
Yes, because all the high schools in our area know that the kids there are going to go to colleges, and all of them offer classes at the local colleges. So they're intertwined. They're working together. They've got this in a plan, but I have to pay again to take notes. When I just took a note-taking class 3 years ago.
So out of just pure strange life stories, I got the opportunity to take chemistry at 2 different high schools in Arkansas. And I got the opportunity to take chemistry at the university in Arkansas, in North Little Rock, Arkansas. So I went to a high school in Pulaski County, and I went to one in a neighboring county. And I took notes for chemistry in both locations. When I got to college, it was the same exact chemistry, the same exact frog. I dangled exactly the same dude. But the way to take notes was completely different. And I asked the question in college, why is this different than high school? And I was basically laughed at by the teacher. I wanted to tell the teacher, you have not taught me anything different in this class. except that the way you take notes seems stupid compared to what we did in high school. We didn't like bring this frog back to life, and I had to take notes on how to restore life to a being. It was like, okay, I cut with this blade. I made this so much of a decision. I flung the guts on the girl next to me. Like it went 3 yards instead of 3 feet. Like it was just stupid.
Yeah.
And you know, the teacher that taught me went to that college. You know that. The Department of Education for the state does not just work with high schools, they work with universities as well. Like you said, this stuff should be standardized.
So I guess I'm going to contradict myself because, you know, what you're describing is that you learn the standard way to dissect, you know, because that's what's used in a lab, you know. So everybody in a lab, they dissect the same way. You do this and you record, do this, record, you know, so you learn like the repetition. But does someone who is going to leave high school and be a welder need to learn the redundancy to get that muscle memory of how to work in a lab? How many people leave high school are going to work in labs?
That's probably true, but chemistry is not a required subject. I took it as
okay. That's true. I understand. You're right. It's not required, but wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice in chemistry though to learn some chemistry and not just some muscle memory crap for a class you never?
I didn't learn anything in college chemistry. I didn't learn something.
Oh man, this is the real education crisis here.
I'm telling you, it was the exact same experiments in college as it was in high school.
Wow,
it was a joke.
That's crazy.
If it had been the same note taking, I would have just handed her my black notebook from Sheridan and just been like, "Here you go. I'll take my A. I'll see you on test day." So no, you're right. But so I think we've talked about this, and we're going off an entirely different subject all of a sudden. But high school, when you enter ninth grade, you should have the opportunity, if you want to be a college person and you intend to be college, then you should have the opportunity to talk to a high school / college counselor, both. And the college counselor should tell you what classes you need to take that will transcend right into college. And the high school counselor should be there and be taking notes and help you on this path. If you want to be a contractor or you don't know if you want to go to college or not, that should not preclude you from the education. You should get education that helps you grow as an adult, because you're going to be an adult sooner than the one going to college for the next 4 to 8 years. If you're graduating and you're getting a job and you're moving in with roommates like most of us did, and you're starting your life, you need to understand basic finances and how to write a good resume and how to work with budgets. And yes, you should still take English and math and all the stuff everyone else has to take, but they should be telling you, you're about to grow up. This game's about to be over. You need to take, this is the big stuff right here. It's about time to be a grown up. If you're in a college.
Well, you're right. And I mean, you nailed it. And what's annoying to me is when I see our media and our government officials discuss high school, they describe it like it's prep school or something. But what my wife educated me about when she started actually teaching only high schoolers was that she wasn't preparing them for adult life. They were already living adult life. Man, one girl already had like 4 kids. You know what I'm saying? She's a major income earner for her house. She's not married. She has to go to school because she's got to provide for her children and provide for her family beyond high school. You know, like she's just counting the days because she has to get into college. You know, she has to get into college, and she has to do good because she has to. You know, these are like things she's done to herself. But all these kids, like they're living life. They're already there. So they eat it up. You got to say stuff that's important, because if it's not important, you've lost them. They don't care. They got real stuff on their plate. They're not preparing. They're there.
So you brought up things I didn't really think about. So maybe when we talk about today's high school, maybe we should like forward this to all of our government officials. But perhaps we should pick like one Friday a month where real life people come into the high school and say, if this field interests you, see the man after the show.
Yeah.
Come in, Give your
Yeah.
spill. Hey, I work for Tyson. These are the things we're looking for. We're looking for elite managers. If you plan on going to college, I'll tell you how to do that. If you're ready to get a job right now and get started from the bottom and work your way up, hey man, see me after the show for that too.
I do know that locally, some of the high schools they teach, more skill specific classes. You could learn robotics. You could learn the University of Arkansas. They're a real big part of nanotechnology, and so there's some real refined research and computer classes that kind of lead towards that. So they have people in that field though. They do come to these skill specific classes. But the problem is, man, the local high schools have got 3,000 kids in them. There's not 3,000 jobs. I mean, there's not employers that could send somebody to speak to everyone for their rest of their life. I don't know what they're going to do. They're not all going to go stand in line at the chicken factory. It's not going to happen. There's so many opportunities right now. This is like I know that everybody, I know it's horrible. I understand in some states right now it's horrible. I realize they're shut down. They have no employment. But I'm telling you, man, the year 2019 to right now, 2021, this is like the golden age of getting a job. You don't even have to work for someone else. There's so many things that you can do to promote yourself. If you're good at making cookies, man, you can go make freaking cookies and make a million. You can make them. You can make some bucks. It's not for everybody, but there's so many ways to make money right now. It's everywhere. I promise you, there was not this kind of opportunity when I was 19. When I was mowing yards, I did not have Facebook Marketplace to advertise my skill on or promote my service. I didn't have YouTube to, promote the way I work, send videos of my remodeling jobs. You didn't have it. It just didn't exist. But, oh my gosh, man. Now you can promote yourself. Look at my friend's daughter, man. She's made a gazillion dollars off selling masks because of the prices. She wasn't good at making masks a year ago, but she did already have like a little sewing business, a little craft thing, and she'd made a little side money. It wasn't like going anywhere, but then just overnight, bam, man, just overnight.
Yeah.
All online sales, all because of the internet, all because of Facebook.
All right, Ted. So as you know, it is March Madness time. It's bracketology time. Thank you, ESPN, CBS, for branding the term bracketology, the science of brackets. So as most of the world is preparing to wager countless dollars on which basketball team by who knows what color jersey, or maybe they're voting on by a favorite first letter or something, we'll try to determine which team wins it all. I thought we'd go a different direction. I thought that we would post out about 30 different comedians, let our fans pick the top 16, break them into 1 through 4 different sides of the bracket, and then we would pick, with a little help from some friends, who was the funniest individual, winning their game / bracket, and eventually crowned No Show Prep Comedian of 2021.
We're going to have like some boxes to check,
okay,
to get the winner, because what makes this a great comedian? Is it only because they make you laugh? Because there's some comedians like Billy Crystal that will make your sides hurt, or did when he was in his prime. You can't retell a single one of his jokes because they're not like jokes you can retell. So. But I'm not saying that just because you don't have retail ability doesn't mean that you're not necessarily the winner. But I would think that I think the champ would need to be make you laugh live. You can in retail ability. What else? What do you think? What do you think makes a good comedian?
So I think you're right. I've got to be able to tell your joke, or it's not as funny. My wife is trying to whisper to me and use sign language that the person needs to make you cry while laughing.
I agree. I agree. Like somebody that actually just makes you lose
your mind.
It could be an emotional event, man. I mean, real good, real funny people will just make you emotional, not beyond the laughter.
You remember the first time you heard about Fluffy, when the big guy on stage is talking about those 4 different levels of fat, and he gets to Fluffy, and you can't even breathe anymore. You're laughing so hard.
Oh my gosh, man! I forgot about Fluffy. My kids love him. They've gone and seen him live a couple times. Man, they absolutely love that guy. He is funny. He's so hilarious.
When Chris Rock, no, not Chris Rock. Oh my goodness. See, I just went blank. Kevin Hart. When Kevin Hart talks about cruising up next to the girls, flirting back and forth outside his truck, and then he trips and falls getting out of the pickup truck and hits his head on the bottom of the door when he stands up. Like, unbelievable, just hysterical funny. Because you can only imagine this short little guy inside of a jacked up F-250. Like, how did you even get up there? So funny. And then you think about Martin Lawrence and Will Smith punking down Martin Lawrence's daughter in Bad Boys 2. Bad daughter's boyfriend, not the daughter, and Bad Boys 2 too. Like, again, hysterically funny, but different levels of comedian. So I don't know. Do we need to have a stand-up person around, a stand-up side of the bracket, and then a television bracket? Like same bracket with different sides of the bracket.
Maybe we need to have like a and a B winner. I don't know. We'll have to think about that after the show. That's a good idea. I can't believe how many more I thought about it just since you were just talking. So I guess it all started because you brought up Fluffy, but the guy with the puppets, jalapeno on a stick, or Jeff, whatever his name is,
The steak.
Yeah, and anyway, he doesn't even use the jalapeno anymore. Like he's moved on. He's got like his whole nother. What? Oh, he's got puppets now. I mean, he's got all new puppets.
Dude, when he came to Iraq and did like an hour stand up with the terrorists, and oh my goodness, that was the funniest day in Iraq. He was talking about explosion. I don't know the guy's name, the terrorist joke. Ahmed the terrorist. So like, oh my goodness, he debuted him in Iraq. Good night. That man is hated. They want to kill him in Iraq. They hate his guts.
What about why not? Top? Man, people just, he'd smash all the fruits, and vegetables. People are just begging to get dirty when they're at a show. Like they wouldn't wait to get there and get splattered with watermelon.
Carrot Top.
And he was so funny, man. Who could make smashing fruit funny,
Dude. And let's not talk about Chappelle. Chappelle had the Chappelle show. Oh my goodness. And when Chappelle turns out to be a part of the Ku Klux Klan, like that was probably the funniest show ever. So it's going to be hard. Is what I'm telling you guys is this is not going to be easy. And I know our fans are saying like, you forgot about all these others. And you're right. We have, because there are just so many good comedians.
I got a couple more, man. What about like Jerry Seinfeld, man? The absolute voice of the 90s, man. You can't have the 90s without thinking about Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, Jerry.
And Jerry Seinfeld's so influential, he literally changed the way we eat. Before Jerry Seinfeld and the Seinfeld show, you didn't mind double dipping a chip, but you won't double dip a chip now.
Oh, no, you won't.
No, you won't.
No, you will not. I think my favorite line from Jerry Seinfeld is not his funniest line, but his most memorable one. When he talks about if aliens look down, they're not going to know who's in charge, the dog or the human, as you pick up the dog's waist and put it in the bag. Like, hysterical funny.
But he ain't wrong.
Jerry's so smart because he takes things we all know and then makes fun of us for it. And we don't mind because Jerry's doing it. Jerry! Yes.
Jerry was an incredibly smart guy. And I bet he kicks himself in the butt for having a show in the 90s and not the 2000s, because even though towards the end he was making the most money of any sitcom, it's peanuts compared to today. It's just, I mean, he still got paid a lot more. It's not everybody in sitcom gets paid like he was getting paid towards the end. Man. But I mean, I guess that comedy probably wouldn't work in 2000.
It would not.
Roy D. Mercer, man, you remember him?
No.
He all the radio shows, man, they play this guy. I guess he was a radio personality somewhere and just start recording it. But he would call like a car dealership and threaten to whip their ass,
Yes.
And I didn't even like this guy. I mean, he wasn't my guy. Everybody I worked with, man, everybody loved him with me. But I swear the funniest thing I ever heard, he called a dealership, the Ford dealership, or maybe used car dealership, I don't know. But he's somebody, the guy is like trying to come on to his wife, And he said, well, she's down there wanting to see a tourist, but all she want to do is show her your probe. He said.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh. That's the only thing he said that I thought was funny. But I didn't really care for that. That's not my kind of humor, the call-in thing.
So what about the most famous, man? This guy has one stand-up. No one's even, I've never seen this guy live. If he walked up and said, hey, man, thanks for mentioning the show, we know who he was.
Yeah.
Oh, T-Rexy. T-Rexy talking about meeting a redneck on the side of the road, filling this road with uppercut.
Yeah.
Like he's been quoted by people worldwide.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard that. I've seen that clip you're talking about, but I didn't even know he was famous.
That's the only clip I've ever heard of this guy. I haven't seen anywhere else. But he is a sensation for that one YouTube video. It's voice only. There's not even a video to go with. What's so funny in that one clip? As far as I know, he's standing at a VFW getting drunk and spits to his friends, and they got put on the internet. Like, who knows?
What do you think about the redneck tour? You know, it was such a
man.
phenomenon, man. When Jeff Foxworthy, Roy D. Mercer, and Ron White, and Cable Guy, and the other guy.
Man.
And that means I just thought of another one because I can't even remember the other guy's name now. I follow him on Facebook.
Blue Collar Comedy.
Yeah.
Boy, I've made some trips to Dallas and back just listening to those guys crack me up.
I went and seen Ron White like 3 years after they were, had been famous. I knew every joke he told. Like I owned his albums, I knew every joke. And I still sat there we seen him at gosh dang it. Oh my gosh, down the river in Little Rock in the big fancy building down on the left, huh?
Altel before it was Altel?
No. Down there where all the operas and
yeah.
I just forgot what it's called. It's not the convention center. It's past. It's right next to the convention center.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a real nice place. Yeah. And seeing Ron White, I knew every joke he could tell, and I literally cried. I hurt when I left there. He's such a good. His delivery is just fantastic.
And you're not even talking about the guy. Here's your sign. I mean, they are all just so funny.
He's on stage with just a bar stool, a little table, and a bottle of whiskey in a glass. It was he drunk that bottle dry, man. The drunker he got, I mean, the funnier. I know. Most of the time they do like encores, like bands do. He never walked off stage. Man, he kept telling jokes till he ran out of material. You know what I'm saying? He was laughing, and everybody else was laughing too. It was a fantastic show.
So it wasn't apple juice.
It was not apple juice. No, he peeled the label off. I mean, he peeled that, busted that ring off that thing, and
what? Dang.
Yeah, he drank a whole freaking bottle of Jack, one of them big tall ones, big.
Yeah, big boy.
He's making fun of everybody in the crowd. Y'all want a drink? Ha ha ha!
Man, when he tells a joke about his ex-wife calling saying the dog pooped on the floor, he's like, "I'm in Atlanta. What do you need to do?" Oh man,
Richard Pryor.
Oh goodness me!
He told every dirty joke you've ever heard in your whole life. You don't even know a dirty joke. Richard Pryor didn't say it.
Kings of comedy.
You can't repeat them anymore. I mean, it used to be.
Nah.
But I'm saying, if you can't remember one, I'll just remind you of one.
Go.
Burying a rabbit in the woods.
Ooh, you're right.
You don't know it? Look it up. All I'm saying, Richard Pryor, bury a rabbit in the woods.
Hey, be careful when you look this up. You might be laughing for the next 2 hours.
So you said something earlier. We were discussing all this about how Dave Chappelle is one of your favorite guys. Yes. I mean, David Chappelle makes me laugh, but he doesn't really make my top 10 list.
Okay.
But, years ago, I discovered this phenomenon, I believe, that East Coast and West Coast comedy is different. I'm really not sure. I haven't narrowed down what the actual difference must be. But I love Johnny Carson and I love Jay Leno. And I love Jay Leno when he was the Doritos man before he was even on late night TV. But I didn't like David Letterman. And I know a lot of people like David Letterman. And it seems like the ones that like David Letterman don't always agree with me on comedians that they think are funny. If they didn't like Jay Leno, like you like David Letterman or you like Jay Leno, it was one or the other. It seems to me like I could be completely wrong.
Right. East Coast, West Coast.
I think so. I just think there's just a difference in the comedian style, which is crazy because I like Jerry Seinfeld and Jerry Seinfeld is from New York. So
different type of comedy.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And then there could be a transcend moment too. There could be East Coast, West Coast, and then just better than both.
Better than both. Yeah, better than both. I love it.
Man, I just think that no matter how this goes, we're going to lose some important people off, and that's going to happen. 16 is too few. I'm getting blown up on here saying, "Man, are we doing stand-up? Are we doing movies? Are we doing TV? Are we doing both? Are we doing forever or just in today?" And I don't have the answer to those questions.
Okay, so I guess we go with two. Two, but we'll have to decide what the category is for A or B.
Yeah.
We'll get that narrowed down.
Yeah.
I think we already wrapped this up, man. I ran through all my notes.
I don't have any jokes.
No jokes. No jokes today.
I'll save those for the midweek.
No joke, Jason. All right. Well, please hit like and subscribe for more content. We'll be back soon with more show.
No show. All show. No
Check our
joke.
brackets. You got to vote.
Yes, sir.